Hello everyone, my name is Albert and I will be doing the employee screening topic for my final term paper. And this is located in chapter 5, which is methods for assessing and selecting employees. So regarding screening, it's part of the employee selection process, which has 4 steps, which includes recruitment, screening, selection, and placement. And like I said earlier, I will be discussing about the screening stage, which is the second stage within the employee selection process. So a little background about what employee screening is. It's the process of reviewing information about job applicants to select individuals for a job. The goal of the employee screening is basically to predict based on this characteristics, skill sets, and other qualifications for a candidate to be successful within their job. There are 4 major procedures that are within the employee screening method. The first one is evaluation of written materials, which is resumes, applications, and work samples. The second one is references and letters of recommendations. This one provides more of a biased standpoint because the applicants usually wouldn't have a reference or letter of recommendation that would be negative. So rather, it's more biased towards the positivity of what they have. The third one, which is probably the most effective, is employee testing, which includes multiple tests just to determine their skill sets and qualifications. This includes cognitive ability tests, mechanical ability tests, motor and sensory ability tests, and the other tests provided on the slide. And other miscellaneous instruments are also included as part of employment testings, for example, polygraphs, sorry, in which determine the truths and facts or qualifications for the individual. And the last one is hiring interviews, in which there are 2 interviews. There are 2 types of interviews that can be conducted, which is situational interviews as well as behavioral description interviews. Regarding real life work problems, so currently I am working as a recruiting coordinator for a corporate startup company, and as a recruiting coordinator, I'm helping out the recruitment department team with finding technical roles. Specifically, a role that we were looking for was a software engineer, and my task was just basically to find individuals that are qualified for the job and to ensure that they were also a culture fit. And after a while of helping out the recruiting team, we were able to interview one great candidate, and he took a cognitive ability test just to, see if he was actually the person that he was on his resume. And after the test and an interview, the team liked him, so that led to us bringing him aboard as a employee. And the situation with this was once he was hired, he actually asked for a month off before actually starting work, which was a dilemma because that led our team to be understaffed. And once he came back to work, he underperformed to the standards that we hired him for, which was another dilemma that was disappointing for both the team and the recruiting department. One of the issues that, multiple issues are faced usually with employee screening, but one of the ones I decided to talk about was testing utilities. What testing utility is using the values of screen testing and helping to affect important organizational outcomes. Basically, testing utilities determines an individual based on their monetary value and how they can benefit the company in performance as well as productivity. Test utility basically covers the fact that we're utilizing tests to predict an individual's performance, and this can be an issue because tests aren't the only factor that are equivalent to leading to the predictions of how an employee will be able to perform. There's other factors that are included, and testing can't be the only situation that determines that, and that's a major issue in general. So the journal article that I chose was Increasing Test Utility Through Teacher Identification of Criteria Components, and this was published or done by Robert Perloff. And in this journal article, Perloff tackles the issues of utilizing tests to determine whether the students are really up to standards with their grades, performance, as well as learning. And after carefully reading this, he says that they do not just are able to justify what a performance is for an individual, and that to predict the performance, people should utilize other external factors, not just tests alone. So my solution in general for this whole thing is to have test batteries, which is usually utilizing multiple tests. For the solution of my work problem, I could have used a cognitive ability test, job skill test, and ability test, and as well as a personality test to determine whether or not they were truthfully dedicated to the company. And also another method I would like to include is also the hiring interview questions, in which we could ask the employees if they have anything planned before their dates of employment, and just to make sure that that they're really dedicated to this company.